Welcome to all the students. Greetings for all of you. Let's continue with our chapter 2 solutions. So we have started in the last class this chapter solutions, and in that we have also studied about the introduction of this chapter. Now let's continue with some of more topics in this particular session. So, the first topic which I am going to take in this session is the solubility of gases and solids in the liquids. Okay, solubility of gases and solids in the liquid. We are going to discuss about this. So, first, we are going to discuss about what is solubility. What you are going to understand by the word solubility. Okay, so first let's discuss about the solubility. Solubility of a substance Solubility of a substance expresses the maximum amount of it which can be dissolved in a specific amount of solvent at a specific temperature. So we can define solubility as the solubility of a substance is defined as the amount of which it can be dissolved in a specific amount of solvent at a specific temperature. This is the definition of the solubility. Okay, and on which factors does this solubility depends? The solubility for a substance for a substance depends on three things. First, nature of solute. Second, nature of solvent. Third, nature not the nature, sorry, pressure, effect of pressure, and the last one is the effect of temperature. So on these four factors this solubility will depend. What are they? Nature of solute, nature of solvent, effect of pressure, and the effect of temperature. Okay, on these four factors the solubility of a substance will depend, okay, which I have mentioned here also. Next, the first topic in this is that we are going to see the solubility of a solid in a liquid. Okay, what is the proper terminologies and all the things in which we are going to see the solubility of a solid in a liquid. Okay, so the solubility of a solid in a liquid varies greatly with the nature of the solid and liquid. Generally, as I have told you, that the main factors which are affecting the solubility is the nature of the solute, nature of the solvent, temperature, and the pressure here. Okay, so the solubility will depend greatly on the nature of the solid and liquid. Okay, because here the solute is the solid and the solvent is the liquid here. So hence both the natures of a solute and solvent are present here, will be affecting the solubility of the solution. Next, the temperature also, and to a much lesser degree the pressure of the system. To a much lesser degree, the pressure will not affect that much of solubility of a solid in a liquid, because here both these solids and liquids, both these substances are very much incompressible. Okay, they are very much incompressible, and due to this reason, the pressure will not be a that much important factor here to affect the solubility of our solution or of the solute. Okay, but the temperature will be playing an important role here, a major role. Okay, next, when a solid which is solute here, which is solute here, is added to the solvent which is liquid here, the solute dissolves because its particles go into the liquid and its concentration in the solution increases. Okay, what happens in reality, what happens, let's see. The particles of liquids are having intermolecular spaces between them. Okay, let's say these are the particles of liquid, they are having intermolecular spaces between them. When we are dissolving a solid which is not having that much of intermolecular space between them, okay, which is not having that much of intermolecular space between them, when we are dissolving in it a liquid, then what happens, these particular gaps which are present here, they what will do, they will break this intermolecular force present between the molecules, and they will capture them here in between. Okay, they will capture them here in between them, and the molecules of the solid will be get dissolved here. This is only the solution, this is only the formation of solution. Okay, and thus the caging, you can say that the liquid particles are caging out here the solid particles here, and they are these are the solid particles and these are the liquid particles. So hence the solution will be found out here due to this caging effect of the liquid particles here. Okay, so this is the solution, this is the solution formation. Now the process, this process where solid is added to the solvent, and it the concentration of the naturally, as you can see here that, the liquids molecules were either apart from each other, they were apart from each other, but there was a fixed volume there, and as I have added there some more molecules, so hence the concentration will naturally increase there. Okay, what was the concentration? The concentration was measured in either in molarity and either in molality. Okay, so both the cases, in both the cases, the moles of the solute is been added in that particular, in the case of solvent in kg, or in the case of the solvent in liter. Okay, in both the cases, what will happen, there will be change in the moles of the substance there. So hence you will see that the concentration of the substance will be, the concentration of the solution will be increasing out there. Okay, the concentration of the solution will be increasing out there, and this process of increasing the concentration of the solution by adding a solute which is here solid is known as dissolution. Okay, this is known as, this process is known as dissolution. Okay, now what happens, some solid particles in solution collide with the solid solute particles. Okay, what happens, some solute particles in solution collide with the solid solute particles and gets precipitated out. Okay, what happens in some time when we form a solution? Okay, so the solute particles of the solids, they get collide with each other, and they start to get precipitate there, this process is known as the crystallization process. Okay, this process is known as the crystallization process. Here the temperature plays a very important role. The solution here for forming the solution here, we provide the heat to the solution formation. Okay, and the temperature of the after the formation of solution, the temperature is lowered down very gradually. Okay, we are not lowering the temperature at a time, but we are decreasing the temperature gradually, due to which the solution solute particles gets collide with each other to form precipitates, and this process and forms crystal there. Therefore this process is known as crystallization. Okay, the process of dissolution continues until the solution attains a certain maximum concentration. Okay, certain maximum concentration is been attained out there, And the the solution where no more solutes can be dissolved at a same temperature and pressure is known as saturated solution. As I have told you, the process of dissolution continues until the solution attains a certain maximum concentration. Okay, you can see you can see here that if I am taking an example of a glass of water. Okay, I am taking a glass or a tumbler of water. Here you will see that in this glass of water, if I am adding some amount of, this is a glass of water, and in this glass of water, let's say I have added 1 tablespoon of salt. Okay, I have added 1 tablespoon of salt and I have dissolved it. Now I have added 1 more tablespoon of salt. Now you will see that it is dissolving, but it is taking more time as comparison to the first tablespoon salt. Okay, means the first spoon of salt which I have added, it has readily been dissolved in the water, but this second tablespoon of salt is taking more time as comparison to that of the first one. Now if I am adding 1 more tablespoon of salt, then I will see that the whole of the salt is not dissolving here. Okay, the whole of the salt is not dissolving. Some of the salt is still present at the bottom here. If I'm not increasing the temperature, if I'm not increasing the temperature here, means the temperature is constant here, no change in temperature is been brought out here. So we will see that that particular salt will be left out in the bottom of the glass here. And after very much of the stirring also, okay, if I'm not doing the stirring, then after very much of the time also, it will not be getting out dissolved there. So this solution here, in this solution, what has happened, all the particular gaps between the molecules of the liquid is been filled up with the solid particles there. Okay, and no more space is left out to make more solution there or to occupy the left out salt there. Okay, molecules of the salt there. So hence this solution will now be called as a saturated solution. This solution will be called as a saturated solution, where no more solute will be possible to dissolve in the solution. Okay, but on changing the temperature, this solution can be again this left out salt can again be dissolved out, because on changing the temperature, the gap between the molecules will increase, and due to that reason, more solute particles can be occupied between them, and hence the left out salt will also be dissolved out there. Okay, so this is known as the saturated solution. Okay, saturated solution. So hence I have proved here that the solubility is directly proportional to the temperature. If I am increasing the temperature, then the solubility will also increase, and if I am decreasing the temperature, then naturally the solubility will decrease with it. Okay, now if I'm going to define the solubility on the basis of this funda, then the solubility's definition will become the amount of solid that dissolves in 100 grams of the solvent, the amount of the solvent that dissolves in 100 grams of the solvent at a given temperature, at a given temperature, at a given temperature, at a given temperature to form a saturated solution. Saturated solution is solubility. Okay, this will be the definition. And the concentration of the solute has the highest value in a saturated solution. Okay, the concentration of the solute will be highest in case of a saturated solution. Now let's see further part here. What will be an unsaturated solution? If I'm saying that a saturated solution is the solution in which no more solute can be added is known as a saturated solution. Then a solution in which more solute can be dissolved at a same temperature is known as unsaturated solution. Just about to that. Okay, now at saturated solution stage an equilibrium gets established. Okay, what will happen? An equilibrium gets established due to between the process of dissolution and crystallization. Here an equilibrium stage will be attained when we are forming a saturated solution here. Okay, the number of the solute particles going into the solution will be equal to the number of the solute particles separating out. Okay, if I am seeing in this forward direction, then it is dissolution here, and if I am considering the reverse direction here, then it is crystallization. So in crystallization, what was happening? In crystallization, the from the solution, crystals were forming out of the solute particles again to the solid form. Okay, so here equilibrium will be formed out here when a saturated solution has been formed out. Okay, and this type of equilibrium will be called as dynamic equilibrium, because as much amount of the solute I am dissoluting to form the solution, then that same amount of crystals will be formed out here. Okay, so hence in a saturated solution you will see that the equilibrium state has been attained between the dissolution and the crystallization. Okay, next I have given you the definition, this same definition in the that particular slide also. Okay, and the solubility is also expressed as the molar solubility. We can also express the solubility on the basis of the molarity. Okay, so the molar solubility, which gives the molar concentration of the substance in a saturated solution. There we will use the molar concentration definition to define the molar solubility of a substance in a solution. Okay, and generally that is defined for a saturated solution. Now let's move further. Now the solubility of a solid in liquid, okay, the solubility of a solid in liquid depends upon the following factor. As I have told you that the solubility will be depending on some of the factors. So first factor is that nature of the solute and the solvent. Okay, nature of the solute and the solvent. On this the solubility will be depending. So what is that? A solid dissolves in a liquid. Okay, if the intermolecular force attraction are similar in solid and the solvent. The thing is that the fact is that a solid only dissolves in liquid when the intermolecular interaction are similar in solvent and the solute. Okay, so here if I am talking about a ionic compound or a polar compound. Okay, ionic compound or a polar compound. What are ionic compound? Where charges will be present. Okay, where cation and anion will be present in a compound, or they are also known as polar compounds. Okay, dissolves more readily in a polar solvent. Okay, for example, if I am considering polar solvent such as water is an example of polar solvent, because oxygen attains del negative and hydrogen attains del positive charge. Okay, so this acts as a polar solvent. Here the solution with polar compounds such as NaCl, AgCl, okay, MgCl2, these all polar compounds will be readily dissolving in this polar solvent here, which is water. And the reason is that due to their same intermolecular interaction here. Okay, due to their similar intermolecular attraction, which is that here the polarity is present, and here also you will see that polarity is present between the molecules of the compounds. Okay, between the cations and the anions, here the interaction is present, which is similar to that of the interaction present in the polar solvents, which is water here. Okay, and non-polar solvents, if I am dissolving NaCl, AgCl and MgCl2 in non-polar solvents, then the solubility will not that much as compared to that of a polar solvent. Similarly, the non-polar solvents, some of the non-polar solvents or non-polar compounds will be very easily dissolvable, or formation of solution will be seen out there. For example, non-polar solvents such as carbon tetrachloride, or benzene, okay, C6H6, or ether CS3O CS3, like this. All these are non-polar solvents because you will not see any kind of charges here, okay. And this will be seen that in this type of solutions, in this type of solvents, non-polar compounds such as naphthalene, okay, naphthalene, which is a non-polar compound, okay, anthracene, these all naphthalene, anthracene will not be dissolvable in water, but they will be readily dissolvable in this non-polar or organic compounds, okay. So hence the nature of the solute and solvent highly affects the solubility, okay, highly affects the solubility. As you can see here, polar compounds or polar solvents readily forms a solution, while the non-polar solvents and the non-polar compounds readily form the solution, okay. Next is the effect of temperature. Next, we are going to talk about the effect of temperature here. We are going to discuss about that. So, temperature has a marked effect on the solubility of a solid in a solvent. The solubility may be increased or decreased with the increase or decrease in the temperature. It is observed that most ionic molecular solids, okay, most ionic molecular solids become more soluble at higher temperature. At higher temperature, you will see that the ionic solids solubility increases, okay, at higher temperature. The variation of the solubility with the temperature depends upon the enthalpy of the solution, okay, it depends upon the enthalpy of the solution. So let's talk about the variation here of the solubility with the temperature changing. So first, the solubility of a solutes increases with the increase in temperature, okay. Some of the solutes solubility will be increased when we increase the temperature. So here the solubility of most of such substances such as sodium nitrate NaNO3, ammonium chloride NH4Cl, potassium iodide Ki increases with the rise in temperature, because they are generally, these are the solutes which are ionic or polar in nature, okay. So hence, with the increase in temperature, with the rise in temperature, you will see that their solubility is also increasing. This is because the dissolution process for these substances is endothermic, okay. Here the enthalpy of solution, okay, enthalpy of solution, which I am denoting here by del H sol, is greater than zero, and hence when the temperature is increased out here, then the dissolution process will also increase out here, and you will see that it is an endothermic process. It is an endothermic process. When we add heat in the reactant part, then the solution formation or the direction of the reaction in the forward side will increase, okay, it will increase in the forward side, and we will see that here the del H value is positive because it is a endothermic process, okay. Since this substance absorbs heats on forming solution, and therefore their solubility increases with the increase in temperature in accordance with the Le Chatelier's principle, okay. According to the Le Chatelier's principle, we will see that here, if we add heat on the reactant side here, then the reaction will shift towards the forward side, okay, towards the forward direction here, according to the Le Chatelier's principle. Now let's see next effect. The next effect is that the solubility of solid decreases with the solubility of solid decreases with the increase in temperature. You will see some of the substances, when the temperature will be increased out there, then you will see that the solubility of some substances will be decreased out there. So which are some of that substance? They are lithium sulfate Li2SO4, cerium sulfate Ce2SO4 thrice, sodium carbomonohydrate Na2CO3.H2O. Okay, these are some of the example in which in these substances you will see that on increasing the temperature, the solubility of these substances are decreasing. Why? What is the reason behind it? The reason is that here the enthalpy of solution is lesser than zero, and if I'm increasing the temperature here, then what will happen? it will proceed. It is a exothermic process. Okay, these type of solutions are these types of solution which are formed by Li2SO4 and Ce2 cerium sulfate and sodium carbon monohydrate. All these are exothermic solutions. They are forming exothermic solutions. So naturally the heat will be releasing out here and the Deleuze solution value will be negative here. Due to this reason, if I am increasing the temperature here, then what will happen? Then the naturally, according to the Le-Chatelier's principle here, the reaction will continue towards the backward direction here. It means that the formation of solute and solvent will be formed out here either while we need to form the solution here. So here the main funda is to keep the temperature as low as possible, because naturally the heat is evolving out here due to it is a exothermic process. Since this dissolve with evolution of heat, a decrease of solubility with the temperature is expected in accordance with Le-Chatelier's principle. Okay, so here we have to decrease the temperature in order to increase the solubility. Okay, here I have shown you a graph. By this graph, you can see that some of the substances which are having different kinds of behavior. So here you can see that temperature is been shown in x direction and the solubility is been shown in y direction. So as the temperature is increasing, you can see for sugar, the if I am increasing the temperature, then the solubility is also increasing. Okay, solubility is also increasing. And in case of KNO3, you can see that the solubility is also increasing when I am increasing the temperature. Okay, for NaNO3 also you can see that it is increasing with the increase in temperature. For NaBr, it is what I can say that it is constant. No increase or no gradual increase in seen there. It is a straight line. Okay. For KBr is also nearly about straight line is there. For KCl and NaCl is also, they are not having that much of effect on their solubility with the temperature. Okay. But in case of NaCl, you can see that with the increase in temperature at a very more height, you can see that it is somewhat decreasing the solubility of NaCl. Here you can see that at 100 degrees Celsius, the solubility is decreased as compared to that of the point which it was having at normal 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. And also in case of cerium sulfate also, you can see that the solubility at initial state means at lower temperature it was more, and on increasing the temperature it has been decreased. So this is showing, this graph is showing that the some of the substances are showing weird behavior due to their Delitzsch solution or enthalpy of solution is negative, and due to this reason on increasing the temperature of that kind of substances we will see that according to Le-Chatelier's principle there will be the solubility will be decreased up there for that substances. Next, the solubility shows irregular behavior with the increase in temperature. Okay, some of the substances will be showing irregular behavior with the increase in temperature, and for that the best example is sodium sulfate Na2SO4. The solubility here first increases up to a certain temperature, then after that temperature you will see that it starts to fall down. Okay, so this type of behavior is seen in some of the substances such as sodium sulfate and some more substances. So here the temperature corresponding to the break in the solubility curve is known as the transition temperature. So the temperature at which you will see that the change in the solubility is seen out there, that particular temperature is termed as the transition temperature. Okay. Next, some of the notable points for this topic is that if the solute dissolves with the absorption of heat, then the process is endothermic. We naturally know this, that the particular process will be endothermic because here the heat is been absorbed here. The solubility increases with the rise in temperature. So in a endothermic process, when we are increasing the temperature, then the solubility will naturally increase. If the solute dissolves with evolution of heat, it means that it is an exothermic process. It means that when we are forming a solution and the heat is being evolved out there, okay, not absorbing the heat, but it is evolving heat there, then on increasing the temperature, the solubility will decrease, and on decreasing the temperature, the solubility will increase. Next, the last is the effect of pressure on solubility. So as I have told you, as in the case of solids solution in liquid, you will not see that much of activity of increasing of pressure there. Okay, if I'm increasing the pressure to a very high amount also na, then also not much that kind of change in the solubility will be seen out there, because both the substances which are both the matter which are solids and liquids here, they both are highly incompressible, and due to this reason there not much of effect will be seen out here. Okay, so this was about the solubility of solids and liquids. Let's continue with the next topic, which is the solubility of gases in liquid. Okay, let's continue with this. So solubility of gases in liquid here. Gas dissolves in liquid to form homogeneous solution. Okay, they generally form the homogeneous solution, and the solubility of gas in liquid depends upon first nature of solvent and nature of the substance that is solute, nature of the solvent, temperature of the solution, and pressure of the solution. Here the pressure will also play a very important role, and it will greatly affect the solubility of the solution. Okay, now, gases like nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, helium, etc. dissolves in water only to a small extent. Okay, the gases such as nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, helium, and some of more gases, they dissolve in water only to a small extent. While the gases like ammonia, SO2, sulfur dioxide, HCl, etc. are highly soluble in water. Okay, they are highly soluble in water. The most soluble gas are those which chemically react with the liquid solvent. Okay, the most soluble gases are those which chemically reacts with the liquid solvents. Okay, the solubility of gases in liquids is greatly influenced by the pressure and temperature. As I have told you before also that here the pressure will also having a great effect on the solubility of the gases. Let's see the effects. First is the effect of temperature. So the solubility of gas decreases with the increase in temperature. Here just opposite case is seen in the case of solid in liquids solution and gas in liquid solution. Okay, so here the on increasing the temperature you will see the decrease in the solubility. Okay, this is because gas dissolves in a liquid with the evolution of heat. It means it is an exothermic process. And if I am increasing the temperature here, then according to the Le Chatelier's principle, what will happen? The solubility of the gas will naturally decrease out here. Okay, means if I am taking an example of ammonia, if I am taking an example for ammonia and I am dissolving in it water, then the solution which is forming out here plus heat will be released out here. So if I'm adding heat in the reactant side or in the if I'm making it an endothermic process here, then the process, the particular if I'm increasing the temperature here, then what will happen? It will start to it will start to proceed in the reverse direction according to Le Chatelier's principle, and the solution which I want to form will not be formed out here. Okay, so hence the solubility of ammonia gas will decrease out here. Okay, so with the increase in temperature we will see decrease in the solubility in case of the solution making of gases in liquids. Next, effect of pressure. Here the main thing which will affecting the solubility of a gases will be the effect in the pressure. Okay, so the solubility of gases increases with the increase in the pressure. Okay, according to the Le Chatelier's principle only this funda is been taken out. And how to define it? If I am seeing here, I have taken a system in which piston I have attached. Okay, piston I have attached, and the pressure here is P1. So here the solubility is lower. But if I am adding some more weight on this piston and I am adding some more force here, then what will happen? The piston will compress, and due to this, the gases and the solution which is present here, its pressure will increase. Okay, its pressure will increase, and we will see that the solubility has also been increased out here. What is the reason behind this? Consider a gas in dynamic equilibrium with a solution. The lower part represents the solution and the upper part represents the gaseous system. Okay, here this darker part is representing the gaseous substance which is the solute here, and the lower darker part is representing the liquid substance which is the solvent here. Okay, which is the solvent here, and both are at temperature. The temperature has been kept out constant here. Okay, but since there is a dynamic equilibrium, the number of gaseous molecules entering the solution is the equal to the number of the dissolved molecules leaving the solution. It means that the amount of solute being dissolved in the solution is equal to the amount of solute which is been released out from the solution here. Okay, so it means it is in dynamic equilibrium. Now increasing the pressure, now on increasing the pressure, we will see that the compression of the gas to a smaller volume. Okay, when we increase the pressure here, the liquid will not compress, but the gas will get compressed up. Okay, but the gas will get compressed up. This will increase the number of the gaseous particle per unit volume. Okay, here the concentration of the gas will increase out. Okay, here the concentration of the gas will increase out, and as a result, the more molecules will be striking the surface of the liquid, and hence more molecules of the gases will be striking at the surface of the liquid, and hence more molecules will start to dissolve as comparison to that of the case when the pressure was lower here. Okay, more gases will start to dissolve here, and this will continue up till the new equilibrium state has been arrived. Okay, the new equilibrium state has been reached out here. Thus, on increasing the pressure here, we are increasing the solubility of the gas. Okay, as you have seen in case of in case of carbonated solutions. Okay, carbonated solutions, you have seen that when we are forming a carbonated drink, what do you understand by carbonated drinks? The carbonated drinks are the drinks which you drink, generally the Coke, okay, or the Limca, or anything that is containing gas, carbon dioxide gas in them. They are known as carbonated drinks. Okay, so these carbonated drinks are kept in a bottle which has been pressured up. Na? You are knowing that the bottles which are in which these carbonated drinks are stored, they are kept at a high pressure. They are kept at a high pressure. What is the reason behind this? If we are keeping it in high pressure, then the solubility of particular gas will be higher. Okay, solubility of the gas particular will be higher. And as I am opening this cap, and as I am opening this cap and releasing the pressure out here, then readily the gas from the solution starts to evolved up. Okay, and due to that reason only we will see there that bubbles are been forming out there, and the fuming of liquid seen out there. What is the reason behind that? Because the gas start to remove readily from there due to the decrease in the pressure. Okay, so this is the funda that why the pressure highly affects the solubility of gases. Okay, why this highly affect the solubility of gas. So next is the Henry's law. Okay, next is the Henry's law. Henry, uh, scientist, chemist, okay, William Henry, he has given a proper equation for studying the solubility of gas in a liquid. Okay, and according to this law, the mm, at a constant temperature, okay, for a constant temperature, the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the pressure of the gas. He has given a relation that the solubility at a given temperature, the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the pressure of the gas there. Okay, so the commonly used version of Henry's law is that the partial pressure of a gas, the partial pressure of a gas in vapor phase, is proportional to the molar fraction of the gas in a solution. Okay, so molar fraction, you know about molar fraction, it is denoted by chi, and we have talked about further also. Okay, so here the relation will be that the partial pressure, which will be denoted by small p, is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the solution. Okay, mole fraction of the gas in the solute, which is the gas here in the solution. Okay, and on removing this proportional sign, we will find out that a constant is been added out here, which is known as the Henry's law constant. Okay, what is the limitation of this law? Okay, now we are going to see here what are some of the limitation for this law. This law is only applicable when the molecules of the system are in a state of equilibrium. Okay, so the Henry law is only applicable when the system is in equilibrium state, means the state in which the number of the gaseous particles which were dissolving in the liquid is equal to the number of the gaseous particle leaving out from the liquid. Okay, at that state only this law will be applicable. Henry's law does not hold true when gases are placed under extremely high pressure. If I am giving extremely high pressure, then this law will not hold its correctness. Okay. The law is not applicable when the gas and the solution participates in a chemical reaction also. Okay. When a chemical reaction is going out there, then also the Henry's law will be failing out there, that this law will not be following out there. Okay. On the basis of Henry law, some of the numericals are also there. So let's see what are the numericals and how to solve. So the first question is asking here, calculate the solubility of gaseous oxygen in water at a temperature of 293 Kelvin when the partial pressure exerted by oxygen is 1 bar. Given Kh for oxygen is 34840 bar per liter per mole inverse. Okay, so the value of Kh is given out here, the temperature has been mentioned out here, and the partial pressure has been also mentioned out here in the question. Okay, so let's start here to solve this question. For solving this question, as per Henry law, we know that P is equals to Kh into molar concentration. Okay, molar fraction. So here I am not taking the molar fraction, I am taking the concentration part here. Okay, one more thing I want to give you here, that one more formula is there, one more version is there, that P will be directly proportional to the concentration of the solution, concentration of the gases solute in the solution. Okay, so in that case the formula will become Kh into C. Okay, this is also a formula. This is also a formula for here, where concentration of the particular solute is being considered there. Okay, when molar, when you can consider mole fraction also, that is also a formula, and when you can consider the concentration of that particular solvent solute there, that is also a formula here for Henry's law. Okay, so here on the basis of the second formula for the concentration one, I am going to solve this question. Okay, so here substituting the value of Kh here and P here. Okay, then I will see that 1 bar. Why I am putting bar? Because here it is also Kh is also given in bar. Okay, so 1 bar is equals to 34840 into C. So the value of C will be is equals to C is equals to 1 upon 34840. On solving this, the answer will be 2.87 moles per liter. As I am forming out the concentration here, so the answer will be in moles per liter. Okay, so this was the answer, that the solubility of oxygen in water under the given condition will be 2.87 into 10 to the power minus 5, 2.87 into 10 to the power minus 5 moles per liter. Okay, moles per liter. Next, the next question which can be given in the Henry's law is that in N2 gas, in N2 gas, if N2 gas is bubbled through water at temperature 293 Kelvin, okay, how many millimoles of N2 gas would dissolve in 1 liter of water? Assume that N2 exerts a partial pressure of 0.987 bar. Given that the Kh value or the Henry law constant value for N2 gas at 293 Kelvin is 76.48 kilobars. Okay. Now here I am going to use the second formula, which was P is equals to Kh into chi. Okay, and here chi will be for N2 gas. Okay, so here the given things are that P is equals to 76.48 kilobar. The value of so in bar it will become 76.48 into 10 to the power 3 bar. Okay, the value of Kh is given out to be sorry, it is Kh, not P, it is Kh. One second. This is Kh, and this is for P. For P, for P, the partial pressure is 0.987 bar. Okay, 987 bar. So here, according to the basis of the unit of the kh, you have to decide that which formula you are going to use. As you can see here, the unit was bar liter per mole. Okay, so here mole per liter was there, so therefore I have used this concentration formula. But if the unit is given in only bar in kilobar, then you have to use the formula of this mole fraction one. Okay, so you can decide from this way that the condition in which the kh unit is given in liter per mole, bar liter per mole, then you have to use the formula of which the concentration one formula, okay, of the Henry's law. And for the condition where the unit is given in bar only, then you have to use the formula of which mole fraction. Okay, now putting the values here, 0.987 is equals to kh 7.48 into here. Now I have to put out the mole fraction. Okay, so the mole fraction will be is equals to, the mole fraction value will be is equals to n of n of n2 divided by n of n2 plus 55.5. Okay, what is this 55.5? The 55.5 value is come out from the mole fraction of the n2 here. Okay, it is came out from the mole fraction of m2, because you are taking the 1 liter of water. For this 1 liter of water, we have considered and we have calculated this thing. Okay, so now the value for chi n2 will be formed out here. Sorry, not chi n2. The value of x, which is the number of moles of the N2 gas which has been dissolved in 1 liter of water will be formed out here, and after the solution it will be 0.7 millimoles. Okay, 0.7 millimoles. So this is your answer. Okay, so this type of questions is going to be asked from the Henry's law topic. Okay, from the Henry's law topic, this type of questions is going to be asked. So for today's session, I am ending the class here only, and in the next session we will continue from here and take out the next topic of this chapter, which is the vapor pressure of the liquid solution, and we will discuss about that. So thank you for watching this video, and be safe and be at your home. Thank you.